We've just been taken by a strange man, and we've woken up. We're somewhere in New York, and we've maybe killed someone.
All I know is I haven't left Manhattan.
That's good knowledge to have.
Well, you gotta know the lay of the land when you're in a frightening situation where someone may or may not have kidnapped you. They're handy tips for life as well.
We've just woken up.
We've just woken up. Or I've just woken up. That, in itself, is a surprise. I barely remember when I drifted off. It didn't feel quite like sleep, more like plummeting into an endless void. I imagine that's how death feels like. The room is unchanged. The lamp is still on, the AC is still rattling, the refrigerator still humming. I take a look at my watch. It's almost 9 p.m. I've slept for 17 hours straight. Maybe I died. My breath is gone and I feel no thumping in my chest. Does that qualify as dead if I'm still conscious? I'm not sure about that, but I am certain about one thing. I'm hungry. It's not my stomach rumbling, though. It's a need that starts somewhere in my abdomen and spreads to my chest, throat, and back of my head. I open the fridge. The bag is still there. I take a closer look at it. If it's soup, then its color and texture are off. I pull the cork out, take a whiff. I recognize the smell immediately. Holy shit. There's no mistaking it. It's bagged blood. The smell is faint, and I remember some situations in the past when I found it nauseating, but now it's almost... No, not almost. It is enticing. Drink it.
You gonna drink this blood?
Yep.
Nice.
It feels wrong, but right now there's barely anything in my life that doesn't... To hell with it. I pour a bit of the liquid into my mouth.
I mean, you aren't breathing. It's a right move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If your body is telling you something, you should listen to it.
Listen to your body.
It tastes like shit. It's coppery, thick, and clings to my tongue and the inside of my mouth like a film of dirt. I swallow hard regardless. The taste is foul, but somehow I want more of it. As I take a second sip, sucking the blood out of the bag, I feel something pull on my insides. I double over. I'm going to barf. I instinctively cover my mouth, looking for a place to vomit. Before I find it, a dark red wave washes over my hand and fingers. It hits the floor, splattering in huge, thick drops. I keep heaving for a moment longer. Nothing is coming out. Not blood, not bile, not even spit, but still something in my body wants to push it out. Push it all out, every last drop. As I recover, trying to wipe droplets of regurgitated blood from my dress, I hear the lock click and see the door open. Standing there is the well-dressed stranger I met yesterday. Immaculate suit again. That predatory look like a hawk on a hunt, but somehow more relaxed tonight. So like a tamed hawk, maybe.
Good evening. How was...
He notices the spatter, my red hand, the sick look on my face. He barely contains a smirk.
Oh. Was the catering unable to satisfy your exquisite taste? Apologies.
Offer him a drink.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
You can't tell me you can drink this. He takes the bag off my hands and pours all of its contents into his mouth. He closes his eyes, theatrically savouring the taste. When he opens them a few seconds later, he looks sharper, energized.
And not all of us are picky eaters. Come on. We've got places to be. I should have some water and a towel in the back of the car so you can clean yourself up.
The car is humming in the empty parking lot just outside the door of the cramped room I've spent the day in. The man motions to it politely, but with a stern look on his face. Get inside. What did you think I was going to do? You had a big smirk there.
I just thought...
Rush
no,
the stranger.
I
Rush him.
I kind of like that. You're just like, no, get in the car. That's
Well,
the move.
this is like I said, good tips for life. Any kind of situation like this, like, you're better off to not make a fuss. If it is a kind of bad situation, you're better off to endear yourself to the person, get them talking, get them to reveal more stuff, play by their rules.
Okay. So rush the stranger. No, I'm joking. Get inside
You
the car.
bastard.
Get inside the car.
It's not like I have a choice, right?
Let's see if the journal has updated.
Ooh.
The dictionary. No,
that's-
it hasn't.
No, nothing.
No.
Still
I was just
very
a
much in the dark.
A little bit worried that maybe things were updating, and because I've played through a bit of this, it wasn't revealing it.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's fine.
Yep.
Correct. But your cooperation is appreciated, nevertheless.
I take the back seat again. The doors lock. The stranger takes the wheel and starts the car. We drive in silence for a while. From time to time, I keep trying to catch glimpses of familiar streets or landmarks through the blackened windows, but it's of little use. The car is also soundproofed, so all I can hear is a bit of traffic humming in the car's engine. The driver doesn't say anything and seems focused on the road. I check the door handle. Yeah, the door is locked all right. The piece of dark glass separating me and the front of the car looks sturdy too. There's nothing left to do but wait. I didn't have time to think about it before, but I realize now that I'm hungry? No, not exactly. It's not a rumbling stomach that grabs my attention. It's a need that starts somewhere in my abdomen and spreads to my chest, throat, and the back of my head. I become restless. This is essentially a kidnapping. Whatever this guy says about its purpose, it doesn't change the fact that I'm being held against my will, and I'm not used to following orders when I can't delegate them to somebody else. I feel a need to get a semblance of control over the situation, so I decide to prove myself useful.
Talking about what you were talking about
Yeah.
before, of these three options, which is the best to go with? If you decided to try and endear yourself to a kidnapper.
Yeah. I mean, like... it wouldn't be getting you a lot of money, because you're not the one in control there. And similarly, I know people in high places, it's like a... Oh yeah, sure you do. Like, it's a thing of desperation. I think it's about what you can do while you're there. You have to prove yourself there in the moment.
Okay.
So I think I have a worthwhile skill set.
Okay.
I can do something for you now.
Well, let's go with that then.
Listen, I'm an investment advisor and I have a lot of experience in fintech. Whatever your organization is, it might find use for me.
I don't even have any idea what fintech is, and honestly, I don't care to find out.
A short pause.
I'll be frank. Currently, you're in no position to offer anybody anything. The sooner you accept that, the better.
I want to ridicule his lack of ambition.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Big words from somebody's dedicated errand boy. I wonder if you've ever achieved anything. I push the right buttons. He gives me an absolutely furious stare through the rear view mirror. For a second, I spot a crack in his professional demeanor.
You don't know anything about me. You have no idea where I'm coming from or where I'm headed.
For a few seconds, he quietly fumes. Got him.
Your attitude won't help you make any friends, and in your current position, you definitely need some. Consider that, preferably in silence.
That dull hunger strikes again. The powerlessness hurts. I'm used to people listening to me, or pretending to care about my demands at least. The driver doesn't play that game. It annoys me to no end. It takes me takes us another 20 or so minutes to get to my destination. As the door opens, I try to get my bearings. I'm still in New York, that much is certain. Queens, maybe?
After me. No sudden movements, please.
I approach a nice-looking building that houses a 2-story gallery called the Art Hole. 2 large men in suits flank the door on both sides, and they give my companion a nod as I approach. Prompted by the stranger guiding me, I walk inside. The gallery is full, which is unusual at this hour to say the least. About 24 faces fill the showroom, and a number of waiters navigate the gathering, serving drinks. All of them are beneath the guests' attention. The visitors are well dressed for the most part, but it's unclear what they have gathered here for. Nobody seems to be particularly interested in the art pieces on the walls, and the atmosphere is polite, unnaturally so. Many guests turn to look at me and the stranger who brought me here. Their glances are varied. I see open contempt on a few faces and animated interest on others. Most of the eyes in the room calmly observe me, as if wishing to appraise my worth. This reminds me of my company meetings. Me, the only woman in the room, silently judged not on her merits but her standing on the list, passed in clandestine email threads between your male co-workers, until HR found out, that is. Not the most pleasant experience, but there's no denying it taught me resilience. When others would cower, I now straighten up. When others would turn their gaze, I meet the eyes of the gallery's guests with confidence. Ooh.
Would you like to voice this character?
Sure. Good evening, Kadir. And to you, child.
I'm just going to swap your mic. There we go.
I'll take that again.
You can, yeah. Just give us another read of that.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, if you're new to the Baby Beard channel, know that Ellen is a actor and I am a director.
So this is perfect.
Yeah, that's right. Which is why Ellen likes playing Toreadors and I like playing Ventrue.
Pretty much, yeah. Good evening, Kadir. And to you, child. The noble, cold voice takes me out of my head and back to the situation at hand. The gallery, a crowd of strangers, me being brought here against my will. For what purpose? The room awaits my response. Good evening, Miss.
You are addressing the Prince of New York City, Helena PANHARD, child of Michaela.
Thank you, my sheriff, but I am capable of introducing myself. She is somewhat plain-looking and doesn't seem to possess a great deal of charm, but still the entire room is intently focused on her voice. She has influence over these people, that much is clear. You may address me as Prince, child. I realize your introduction into unlife was abrupt, and I understand your sire left shortly after. The rules of our society dictate I punish you both for this transgression. A murmur of agreement, maybe, can be heard from the gathered audience. But I am willing to listen to what our loyal sheriff has to say about the circumstances of your embrace first. I'm gonna remain silent because he already thinks I'm a bit of a shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, best to not butt in, right? I decide it's best to stay silent and listen to the whole situation unfold. It feels like I'm out of my depth here. Shall we begin? You are about to be judged by the Court of New York City. Kadir, please tell us how you found this fledgling and what happened on your way here. Court, Prince, Is this some kind of secret society make-believe?
A trusted informant, who has chosen to remain anonymous at this time, tipped me off about a suspicious kindred appearing in one of our domains. Upon investigating, I found them gone, but this fledgling remained in their place. A reservation made at the private lounge of the patrician suggests this one's sire had plenty of resources to spend. However, they are apparently also well connected. I lost track of them. Despite some reservations, she offered little resistance last night and cooperated on our way to the safe house. I was pleased to not have to force her compliance. Opening the door to her safe house tonight, I was greeted by a most disturbing sight of her drenched in regurgitated blood. Apparently, the bagged supply we kept in the fridge was not to her liking.
The remark elicits a contemptuous chuckle from one of the gathered guests as they note the remains of the blood on my skirt.
It was not an elegant sight, but that hardly matters, I suppose. Moving on. We had a quick chat, but wishing to appear here post-haste, I urged her to join me, which she did without struggle. A pleasant departure from my usual routine, I must say. During our drive here, she showed me her fangs, metaphorically speaking, posturing as if we were equals, insulting me when that didn't work. I refrained from causing her physical harm, but I expect her ego might still be a bit bruised.
He looks at me and flashes a nasty smile.
The story ends here with us arriving at Elysium tonight.
All eyes are on me again. I take a special interest in one of the faces. It's a beautiful woman, with curly, almost blood-red hair and a dress to match. I see her whispering to some bespectacled man with an absent-minded look on his face. Who is she, I wonder? Thank you, Kadir. I take note of this fledgling's behavior and will take it into consideration later. She turns her attention to me. First, there is the matter of your sire, the person who brought you where Kadir picked you up from last night. Who were they? A handsome businessman. An entrepreneur. Acquaintance of my boss, I think. Good-looking, pale blue eyes and some grey in his hair. Charming, abusive, cold son of a bitch. I feel tired and angry. This whole situation, spending the day in some underground parking lot, having to bear the looks of a room full of strangers, it's almost too much to take in stride. There's no reason I should take it all in stride, but I do, because if there's one thing my professional career has taught me, it's that. All because of that asshole. Whoever he was, he never even gave me a name or a card. Nothing. Well, Kadir, does that sound familiar?
No, it does not. Or at least not familiar enough. I will continue the search after we're done here.
He talked to somebody at the restaurant. That man. He talked to somebody at the restaurant before I left. I can't remember what he said, but he wasn't alone. Maybe that's a lead you can follow?
Did he now? That is interesting. I do hope the proprietor won't stay mad at us for losing one of his staff.
It's almost like he knows the waiter's fate is still bothering me and takes pleasure in pointing it out.
Thank you for that observation. I will investigate it. Later. What shall I do with the fledgling, my prince?
What is your recommendation, my sheriff?
The traditions are clear. Thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. If thou createst another without thine elders' leave, both thou and thy progeny shall be slain. I am ready to fulfill my duty.
Stay your hand for just a moment longer, Kadir. I wish to consult my counsel on this. Make sure everyone is in agreement.
Of course.
He seems strangely relieved. The prince leaves the main showroom, and a handful of people follow her out. I'm about to ask this Kadir what all that talk of traditions and councils was when the red-haired woman approaches the two of us.
Sophie.
Should I?
Yeah.
Sheriff, I was wondering if I could have a word with the fledgling.
What for?
She lowers her voice in response. Come now, Kadir. We all know what the verdict is going to be. Let me speak to them. You might not have to stain your hands tonight after all. Her words grab his attention. His face is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for domination. Anger, sadness, hope, gratitude, resolve.
I'll go get my sword.
He steps out of the room the way we came, and I'm left in the showroom with the woman in the red dress. She takes me aside, and the eyes of the remaining guests follow me. Well then, fledgling, you are in quite the pickle. What do you mean? What do you mean? I still don't understand what my crime is here. Poor thing. This really isn't your fault, but if you want to get out of here in one piece, you need to understand one crucial fact that seems to have eluded your grasp. Last night, you became a vampire. Wait, what? Oh yes, I am well aware of how ridiculous that sounds. It's the reason why we have these nicer words for it. Kindred, being embraced, having a sire. The fact remains. The beings called vampires, you're looking at them. They're us. I glance around. Some of the guests are still occasionally looking at me, commenting on me in hushed tones. Many of the patrons are pale. Really pale. Most hold glasses of wine. No, not wine. That's not the right thickness, and not the right color either. I'm trying to come up with something sensible to say, but I'm drawing a blank. It makes a morbid kind of sense. I drank blood last night, there's no denying it, and my breathing has not returned. My heart remains still. A vampire. Two voices in my head start battling for supremacy. One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened since yesterday together, coming to a conclusion that no matter how insane it might seem, nothing but what she's saying makes sense. The other voice just keeps saying, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" on repeat. You're surprised. This is often how it plays out by design. Kadir deliberately keeping you in the dark and all. If we do nothing, you will be cut down as sure as day follows night. But I'm here to offer you a chance. A way out. Under one condition. I will take you under my wing. If you're lucky, the prince will be in a good mood tonight, and Kadir's complaints about your behavior won't influence her judgment. This society values docility. She might agree to this, but only if you swear fealty to me. I am not making this offer lightly. As your patron, I will take responsibility for you. Your actions will reflect on me. If they reflect negatively, well, I will make sure you face the consequences. How will you convince the prince? You're saying the prince might have other plans for me? What will you offer to convince her? You'll see it yourself, hopefully. Know this, there are certain traditions and a history of our society in the city that I can tap into. My word might not carry that much weight, but it is not easily ignored either. Steps and hushed voices can be heard from the side room. It seems the prince and her council are returning to the showroom. Kadir appears from downstairs as well and starts walking towards me. When you hear the verdict, ask to be spared. I will intervene. Remember my condition. She flashes a heart-melting smile towards Kadir, who does not smile back. The sheriff's immaculate suit is now complemented by a curved, oriental-looking metal scabbard fastened with a colourful sash around his waist. It would look vaguely ridiculous if it wasn't surprisingly intimidating first and foremost. Kadir takes his place next to me and observes as the prince takes center stage again. Loyal kindred of the New York City Camarilla gathered here tonight, I have made my decision regarding this fledgling. Their behavior since being embraced has been disagreeable, and that does not bode well for them becoming a valuable member of our society.
What did you do that was disagreeable?
Well, yeah, exactly. That Kadir dude, like, really would have thought I was a bitch no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, all of my options were like, no, fuck you, or outright insult him.
You were the most passive, I would say, other than insulting him in the car.
But I think...
And that was one of 3 options to insult him in the car.
But I think that insult hit the right buttons.
Maybe.
And so he took it to heart. If I was just like, oh, fuck you, fuck you, you know, take me home or whatever, then he'll probably be like, whatever. But I think because she, like, Ellen pushed his buttons, me, the player, me, Ellen, the player, the character, you know how it is.
Yeah. Okay.
You are all keenly aware that these nights we need to close our ranks and trust the wisdom of our elders and their traditions more than ever before. As our trusted sheriff pointed out, there can be only one course of action. Although I acknowledge some of my counsel's divergent opinions on this. She takes a look specifically at one of the people who left the room before, a somewhat plainly dressed, shy-looking man whose skin has a somewhat healthier tone. He bows his head in deference. I hold the final authority over this fledgling's fate, and I declare that while their embrace might be the sire's responsibility, in their absence it is their progeny that shall be punished. The sentence is final death, to be resolved presently. Kadir? I hear a scraping sound and see that the sheriff has unsheathed his curved sword. It is a beautifully detailed blade, which I expect must be worth a small fortune. Its apparent sharpness makes me freeze up.
2 bottoms. 2 outs. Bottom of the 9th.
His quiet mumble is audible to nobody but me. As his eyes meet mine, I note just a hint of sadness in his countenance, one that quickly vanishes to give way to grim determination.
And he's out to bat.
I will not get another chance to speak up. I gotta ask for mercy. Yeah. I make my choice. Spare me. Please. Don't make me beg, goddammit! Prince, if I may ask you to stay the sheriff's hand for a while longer? Kadir looks at the prince, awaiting her response. The sword is still hanging above me, threatening to fall at a moment's notice. Is there something you'd like to say, Miss Langley? Yes, if I may. At first, the prince looks somewhat annoyed at the distraction, but she stays quiet for a while, measuring the mood in the room. The bored elites suddenly look at me with aroused interest, some of them dismayed at not seeing the bloodshed, but all intrigued by the unexpected twist. The prince nods. Well, let's hear it. Sophie takes a few steps forward. All eyes are on her now, but Kadir's heavy hand on my shoulder makes it clear I won't take advantage of the distraction. My prince, while the traditions are clear, I believe that the proper context should be observed in addition to the letter of the law. This fledgling is a burden, but without proper guidance they could become an asset to our domain. But with proper guidance they could become an asset to our domain. And I understand you are volunteering to take this unruly child under your protection? Yes. I am willing to give them a chance and prove to the entire domain that they can adhere to our expectations. I will take nothing less than their full cooperation, naturally. Whispers can be heard again, an incredulous voice or two, a hushed, just behead the fucker, some suppressed exclamations of surprise. Silence. I ask all of you to make a note of this moment. I might be persuaded to bend one tradition in this child's favor, but another will have to be enforced even more firmly in its stead. Until thy progeny shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. Are you certain that's a responsibility you wish to shoulder, Ms. Langley? I am willing to guide this fledgling and add a valuable ally to our sect in a time of need, yes. But I would like to receive the right of destruction over them, if it pleases you. I'm conflicted. It's either speak on my behalf and let the prince know that I'm fully willing to cooperate, but then I feel like remaining silent would make that clearer. It's a clearer choice to just shut up. And really the choice is on Sophie right now.
I wish
Sophie's choice, if you will.
I wish there was an option to nod vigorously.
That's what you
Silently.
would be pressing. You'd press it like 3 times. Double click.
Quietly murmur.
Yeah. That sounds good. Remain silent.
Remain silent.
Yes. Its clear tensions are high. It feels surreal to listen to strangers discussing my death, or second death apparently, and keeping silent. I decide it's for the best to let Sophie handle this alone and not interject. I have no idea how to handle this eyes wide shut crowd. The prince looks at me as if weighing my worth. She takes another good measure of the room before she speaks again. I shall grant what you ask. Let it be known, Sophie Langley of the Clan of the Rose will become this fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and child. Ms. Langley will take full responsibility for them, and I grant her the right of destruction if she sees fit to use it. Let my intentions be clear. However, if I am to turn a blind eye to one of our most important traditions on this occasion, I expect it to be beneficial to the Camarilla, substantially so. I hope you find this verdict satisfactory, Miss Langley. Of course, Prince. Thank you. Very well. She turns to me. What is your name, child? Ellen. Ellen, Prince. She nods. Welcome to the Camarilla, Ellen.
Would you like to go and observe your
Let's
dictionary?
have a look at the dictionary, shall we?
Or actually, we can observe the dictionary and learn about the Camarilla and join the Camarilla on the next episode.
That sounds like quite a good plan. Looks in the dictionary. Chris? That's a stupid joke, isn't it? Cut this now. Exit. Exit stage left.
Good night.
Bye.